The Beguiled, the 2017 version, directed by Sofia Coppola and starring Colin Farrell, Kristen Dunst, and Nicole Kidman. This film takes place 1864, 3 years into the Civil War. The scenery and landscape in this movie is amazing, and what also makes this movie special is that this whole film takes place at this home and property in Georgia, and we are never taken away from it. This, to me, always, in my eyes, really makes a motion picture and or a Broadway show even more special and unique when you could have great characters and dialogue in one central location, and never have to divulge away. This film grabs your attention immediately from the opening scene, and it starts to simmer pretty quickly, and then dramatically escalates.
Oh, what have you done to me?
Another reason this is such a fantastic movie takes place during the Civil War, which is such an important moment in United States history.
Not like my great-great-uncles, the Siamese twins who fought each other in the Civil War. I'm seceding, like hell you were!
Not too smart, huh?
Yeah, did not think that one through.
A story like this had a high probability of happening, and you don't have any special effects or CGI type gimmicks to try to enhance the movie. This truly does feel like a great old school type film. From the standpoint during the time in cinema history when movies had to rely on great acting and a great script, which this film has. Also, this is a movie that has, with the exception of one character, an all-female cast, which is pretty cool because, not to sound like a complete sexist, but movies with predominantly female casts, I think they usually suck. Get away! Get away! This movie's also able to capture great moments of suspense and horror. And like I said, the scenery and location in this movie is incredible and beautiful. The costume designs are magnificent, and you are on the edge of your seat when watching this movie. It does a great job of getting you emotionally vested in these characters and leaves you curious as to what the hell is going to happen to them, which is always the #1 goal of any director, to get you to give a damn about who's in the movie. This is a remake from the 1971 rendition that featured Clint Eastwood. In this picture, we have this school of girls that are taught by Edwina and Miss Martha. They are isolated in this property in Georgia. In a way, this place almost seems like that of an orphanage, and it's referenced in this movie that these girls and women of this how to be a proper lady type school have fled because of the war. John McBurney, who is a blue-bellied Yankee, as referenced by some of these women throughout the movie, is an interloper that winds up coming into the picture, and let's just say things really go even souther for these southern women upon his arrival. How and why does this happen will be revealed, but not before this 5-second spoiler warning. This young girl, Amy, walking around this beautiful-looking enchanted forest is how the movie kicks off. She's picking up mushrooms and comes across this wounded Union soldier, Corporal John McBurney. And he asks if she's frightened, and she says yes, and he says he is as well. Amy asks McBurney if he's able to walk, and he's like, I can if there's some place to go, I can try. Yeah, John, that would be nice of you. Get up and try to walk here. This young girl is not carrying your ass all the way back. Amy brings up how the Farnsworth School is nearby and on the other side of the woods, and it's this school for young ladies that teaches you how to do proper type as a young woman. John asks if there's any men there, and Amy tells him it's only 4 students and a teacher, and Miss Martha. And at this point in the war, all the slaves are gone. They are either fighting in the war or have been able to run away. And all the teachers and students of the school that had somewhere to go have left by now as well. They weren't sticking around for all that, the whole war thing. Some might say that was smart and common sense, but I question those girls' and ladies' commitment. The whole war taking place should not take away from your studies or teachings.
Come on, man.
Amy gives him fair warning that he might not be so welcome with him being a Yankee. It's presumably better than dying slowly in the woods. And he agrees. So Amy starts helping John back, and he flops right on the front lawn, and all of these girls help, carrying him to the front porch, and it's pretty funny. He tells them that he's grateful to be their prisoner. Miss Martha tells Amy to tie a blue rag on the gate to signal that they have a Union soldier captured. Edwina says they should wash his wound, and Miss Martha says we need to sew him up too while we're at it. And Martha tells Amy to not put the blue rag around the gate just yet, because Edwina and Miss Martha agree he wouldn't make the trip with their soldiers. He needs to be treated right away. The Confederacy is not going to be looking at this wounded Union soldier and having any sympathy for him and thinking, yeah, we need a rush to get this guy taken care of. Prisoners of war usually don't fare out too well.
I'm not dead. I'm getting better.
No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
And it's probably been some time since they saw a man up close and personal.
It's a man.
So yeah, this guy has a pretty serious wound, and Martha starts taking out the bullet fragments in his leg and starts sewing them up. Martha explains to the rest of the girls to not snoop around in the room that John is in, and that he's not going to be here for very long. And it's a very big topic at the girls' sewing session, the arrival of this Bluebell Yankee. Anything to take your mind off how miserable you are, sewing during an ongoing war. But I guess it's better to be sewing and knitting during the war than actually be dodging gunfire. Now Martha is washing this guy, and you can tell from the camera work, the director's trying to make this point, that she hasn't seen any men lately. And especially shirtless. They keep doing close-ups of this guy's chest, and then his torso, then down his legs, so we get the idea.
Do I make you horny?
That male company is something that Miss Martha has not seen, or had, in quite some time. Right after this, we see Confederate patrol come to the gate, and Miss Martha says there's only a few residents in the house. And the captain lets her know they have a few Yankees that they have captured and are taking them to prison. And Martha asks for a few gun cartridges. She says her father left her his revolver, and they bid farewell after Martha takes the gun cartridges. Martha loads up her gun, which is a smart move. After all, you have the enemy in your house now. And now what an exciting and fun time this looks like. Praying in the dark. You can't get any more dreary and depressing than that. This is a scene right here where it looks like witchcraft could be taking place at any given time.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Ah!
And Edwina says a prayer, wishing for the full recovery of the wounded soldier. So he's on their mind enough during prayer. Now one could say, that's honorable and sympathetic. I say, that's the devil, slowly working his magic, taking you down a path of eternal sin.
We shall open the gates of hell, rise up to the earth, and we will rent out the entire W Hotel for an awesome party and invite a bunch of celebrities.
But maybe he's making a decent impression, good old John, even in his unconscious state. Next morning, Martha notices while Edwina is cooking breakfast something improper with her buttons on her dress. Yeah, apparently there are too many open ones, too low, and says something in French and walks away and says it in a snarky kind of bitchy way. So yeah, the soldier seems to be having an effect. There's less buttons buttoned up. Yeah, so she's insinuating standards are really slipping here. He might see a little more of your neck. Heaven forbid the Union soldier sees more of your neck. He might get some funny ideas. So Martha has taken notice of it. Nothing gets by her, clearly. She goes to check on John, and she comes in with this very aggressive, blunt tone. Like, I'm gonna lay the law down on this guy right here. He's had it way too easy right now. Because she's not liking the outside influence that he seems to be having. And he makes this point that he seems to be disrupting things. So he's onto the fact that, yeah, I might be things up here slightly. And then he tries kissing ass a bit. He tells Martha that he likes that she don't mince words and that she speaks up. Oh, I see what you're trying to do, Corporal. Bravo. Bravo. And she basically lets him know, hey, I don't give a what you think. Good for you, Martha. Good for you. And John is clearly a self-aware man and says, oh, I'm not looking for your praise. Martha's like, well, then what the are you looking for? And he says the right thing. Hey, you've given me a good amount already. For one, I'm not dead because of you. And she starts playing the hypothetical game and says, aren't you worried that I'm going to turn your bluebelly Yankee ass in? He's slick and does what he should do. Play to her good conscience if she has one. Throw one last Hail Mary up there, because it's very much a possibility at this point that she could turn your ass in. He winds up telling her, I don't think you will. And also says, yeah, you might do it, but I don't think you will. And he leaves it at, prison will be better than being dead, he figures. So Miss Martha asks John if he's in pain. He says yes, and Martha tells him that he can have some brandy. And this motherfucker's eyes just light up with excitement, like it's the best thing he's ever heard. It's essentially an orgasm face. And says it would be a pleasure. But Martha doesn't take kindly to that reply. She's like, it's for your comfort, not your pleasure. If it's doing anything more than just easing your pain, then that's not f***ing what I want. You ain't a guest here, you an unwelcome son of a bitch. Alicia comes to the door and wants to know if there's anything she can do to help, and Martha's like, there's nothing you can do to help, now get the f*** out of here. And oh, by the way, tell everyone else, this room is off limits. Alicia has taken quite a bit of special interest in the corporal. Alicia, what about your studies? And John says, if you knew me, you'd trust me. A lot of devious, evil people have echoed those same words. And Martha says, hey, you're not gonna be here long enough, so I don't give a f*** about you being trustworthy or a nice guy. It doesn't matter to me. Martha is how you have to be in this kind of situation with this guy. He's definitely trying to manipulate, and she's putting her foot down, saying, yeah, this ain't working on me. Then this guy asks for some soap and a razor to shave, and look at this mofo. Just chilling, not in danger of being shot at and killed anymore, and he's having himself a good old time, and starts laughing after Martha leaves the room, like, I can't believe I just, stepped in this. I'm here right now. I'm surrounded by all these women, I'm not in danger of being killed. God, the heavens have blessed me. Then Edwina is seen teaching the other girls and looking out the window. And while hearing gunfire, it's just reiterating the fact that there is indeed a war going on. It's an unfriendly reminder that they're in hearing distance, which means they could soon be in seeing distance, which means that we could be in killing distance at any given time. So yeah, just a unfriendly reminder that all of that is taking place pretty much right at their doorstep. And quite literally now that McBurney, the enemy, is there. Marie comes in and gives him a prayer book, and Edwina passes by and catches her, wearing her pearl earrings, and wants to know what's all that about. And this girl makes the observation of, hey, you're all dressed up, too, and you're wearing that lovely pin that I haven't seen since last Christmas. And Edwina is all embarrassed. And it's like, get back to work, you little Edwina drops off the soap and the razor, and she notices the corporal's hands, and says it looks like you were digging a pit with them. He says that, yeah, I was trying to avoid all the bullets, so I thought, hey, let me bury myself. Edwina's like, when you couldn't bury yourself, you just ran? And John says, yeah, I did. Edwina's response is, yeah, you're not very brave. This guy tells her, hey, it was smart, and I've met you now. So he couldn't quite manipulate and have his way with Miss Martha. Now he's moving on to Edwina and seeing how does this fare out. He's slowly revealing himself bit by bit here. He ran away upon the call of duty, and he's an interloper in this house. And he seems to be relishing being surrounded by all these women. He definitely sees the vulnerability, potentially. So McBurney's thinking, how will I fare with you if I hit on you, when I flirt with you? She wants to know what else has been told about her. She hopes the girls weren't telling stories. And John smartly replies, what do you care what they say? And she says the absolute worst thing. I didn't want you to get the wrong impression. Now she's fell into the trap of, I care at least somewhat what you think of me. And he seizes on this sneaky bastard.
You do care what I think about you.
And again, like the brandy, you can see the energy and life breathe into him in that moment. Now she's on the verge of tears. You're a stranger here, and I don't want you to be misled, which is a big mistake because who gives a f*** what he thinks about you if he's only there for a short time? So he's just playing her right now, this guy. And John says, maybe you could tell me correctly then about yourself. And she tells him about where she's from and where she's lived, and he chimes in, oh, by any chance, are you waiting for a sweetheart to return home from this war?
So, where are your boyfriends tonight?
I don't know, where are yours?
And Edwina doesn't have anyone she's waiting on, so of course McBurney is all happy to hear about that. What Edwina should have said is, yes, I have a husband or a man, and be done with it. End it right there. But no, she's too honest, and now he's going to sink the hooks in even deeper.
The hooks! The hooks! The hooks!
Can you make that to go?
You don't know how lucky you are.
The hooks!
And says, well, why are you here? And she wants to know, why are you so interested in me? Edwina, McBurney's interested in you because he wants to know what you look like underneath those bed sheets that you're wearing, basically. John McBurney might have been the original smooth-talking fuckboy, but I'm sure there were fuckboys well before the Civil War era. I'm certain there was. And John says, I reckon we're both a little out of place here. He's trying to find some commonality with her that, hey, how about we run off together? And he also says, oh, I bet you're the independent sort. What are you, a fucking psychologist? The other girls, they don't even know how to get close to you. And last but not least, he says, oh, I've never come across a delicate beauty such as yours. My God. I will say this guy, he's got a pretty good line of shit. He really does. That's smooth right there. I mean, he's coming on strong, but he's laying the foundation there pretty solid. Then he asks a good question for when you're on a date. If you could have any wish, what would it be? And he asks this question while holding her hand, and she says, to be taken far from here. You can see the unraveling and the destruction taking place right before your very eyes. This guy's just coming into this home like a fucking wrecking ball and just gonna
Watch what happens when I do this. Oh, perfect! You see that?
And she storms off and leaves after getting hit in the feels hard, and she realizes in that moment, right after closing the door, maybe I just revealed a little too much about myself and got too close back there. Now back to praying in the dark, and Alicia steps away to say she's using the restroom. And I think she gets lost because all of a sudden she's in McBurney's room kissing him in his sleep, then wishing him good night. The prayer clearly is not working for her. She needs some divine intervention. Instead of praying and focusing on how to be a proper lady and doing your sewing, her head is in the gutter, but he's kind of like the exciting, exotic outside influence. So even during this time, the bad boy could fuck up your life, girls. Now, Miss Martha brings up the elephant in the room about John's unexpected presence in the house, and she wants to know their opinions about the situation, and she gets a wide array of answers, and they all pretty much check different boxes. And it concludes with Miss Martha saying they're going to have the corporal join in their evening prayer. Now they're singing to him, and all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and Miss Martha decides to go and takes the pistol with her. It's the Southern troops that arrive. Now the girls are huddled up by the door wondering what's going to happen, and Martha comes back and they only showed up to offer food, she says. And they are leaving the vicinity. At this point, the South is losing the war, and Martha says she might tell the soldiers to take John away, but she says it could be weeks or months before he gets transported. The girls are going to keep him there and not give him up. Now everybody goes to bed besides Martha and John, and she starts drinking brandy with him. They start talking about the war and the school, and John pops the question of, did you have somebody before the war? And she says she used to. Let's just take a moment. John is like Santa Claus. He's got a list, and he's checking it twice. Were you dating anyone? No? Okay. This guy, man, he is something else. He wants to know everybody's relationship status in the house. The next morning, John is walking around with a cane, and he walks out to the garden and gives some harsh critique of the garden's appearance. And John makes himself useful and starts walking around the property, for once doing something besides spitting game to the ladies. And Amy gives John some water, and John tells her that she's his best friend. And on Amy's way back to the house, Alicia is like, you better not say anything bad about us to him. Basically threatening her, and has this completely bitchy, obnoxious look on her face. And at this point, Alicia has lost her mind. When John was on the front lawn and on the steps at the beginning of the movie, when Amy dropped him off, it was Alicia that was talking all this shit to him.
Blue rags are the patrol knows we captured a live Yankee.
Now she's head over heels for him. So Alicia's a phony to me.
You're a phony! You're a great big phony, you know that?
And during this time when John's working outside, all of them are smiling and giggling every time they see him, and it's just annoying. Martha looks at McBurney's leg and says it looks like it's healing well, and he has this disappointed look on his face like, well, I guess my time here flirting with you all is up. Martha tells John she believes his leg will be well enough that it would be fitting for him to leave by the end of the week. John's like, oh God, I'm not going to have my orgy that I wanted with all of you. That's the look he has on his face. A few of the girls have a little get-together meeting and learn about Martha telling John that it's time for him to hit the road soon. And they are rather upset by this news. And Alicia's like, we are going to have to make it so pleasant for him that he'll have to stay. And then the idea comes up what they should do. Ask him to dinner. Show him that southern hospitality. Edwina shouldn't be visiting him, but she is, and tells her about Martha wanting him to leave, and she don't want him to leave. And it makes it all that much easier for him to agree. He goes in for the hand grab and drops the L-bomb on her and says,
I realize I'm not good enough for you, Edwina.
Anyone who is saying that is hoping to play on your moral heartstrings. To be like, well, I don't want you to feel bad and say I'm not good enough for you, hoping I'll get a sympathy or a relationship. And he don't really believe that, because let's be honest. Yes, she's attractive. Kristen Dunst was Mary Jane Watson, Spider-Man's girlfriend. I mean, that's a tall task right there. But who the is she? She's in the middle of a war zone in the woods. So is she anything that's so divine? But I guess, look at him. He's now a defected soldier who's got a bum leg. So I guess he's not all that impressive either. And we're finding out he's a complete bum. Then he mentions how he's tired of the war and he wants to see the West. And she throws out this lore and this crazy idea. If you get to Richmond, my father can help you. How the do you think that'll go over? Yeah, Daddy, this blue-belly Yankee from the north, the people who are our enemy right now and trying to kill us, can you do him a favor?
You serious?
Then all of a sudden they're kissing, and Alicia pretty much catches them in the act, and says he's invited to dinner. At dinner, all of the girls are cackling as much as Kamala Harris does. Okay. And Martha insinuates that Edwina is pretty much setting a bad example at the dinner table for having her shoulders exposed. So Martha is pretty much saying to Corporal John McBurney Yeah, over there, she's the easy one. If you want to get laid, go over that way. Jane is playing the violin, and it's one of the most depressing looking and beautiful things at the same time. And Alicia and the corporal continue to flirt with one another, and this knows no ends, kissing Edwina's hand right after whispering sweet nothings in Alicia's ear, and asks, "Can I come see you this evening?" There's boy status. Then there's this guy. Then all of a sudden he's drinking with Miss Martha upon her request, and Miss Martha, I think, wants some gentleman company right here, because now she's drinking for the second time with McBurney. And it's at this point in the movie, you're sitting there knowing that some shit's gonna happen. You cannot flirt with this many women in the same vicinity, no less under the same roof. That is gonna be a show disaster, and I think you pretty much have an idea of what's gonna take place here. Martha asks McBurney if he thinks the war will be over soon, and he's pretty much like, yeah, it's over for you southern And, oh, by the way, I'm sure you could use some manly man help around here. Trying to insinuate, hey, you know what, you might want to keep me around here. Edwina is brushing her hair, and the corporal goes sneaking about, and we then see Edwina laying in her bed, and you hear footsteps. And we're thinking McBurney is coming in for his late-night visit, hoping to do motion that of a jackhammer. She exits her room because of the sound of somebody walking around, and then Edwina hears giggling and opens Alicia's door and sees McBurney and her having hanky-panky time together. They were in the process of getting warmed up for the grand finale. So McBurney is caught red-handed now, and is going to try to salvage the situation. I'm not on top of her in her bed making out with her. It's not what it looks like. Yeah, it's not what it looks like, John. And she backs up, and she must be really pissed, because she pushes this guy really hard, and down the stairs he goes. And it was with a lot of force. I mean, he goes flying. Everybody comes rushing out, and his leg is up. The stitches are completely obliterated, and a bone is sticking out. So yeah, it's a complete show mess. Martha rightfully and obviously asks what happened, and Alicia comes up with this great lie that she was attacked by John, and Edwina came and fended him off and took care of him, and yeah, clearly she took care of him. He's unconscious with a bone sticking out of his leg, so yeah, she did a really good job on that one. Martha instructs the girls to help her move the corporal to the dining room table and tells Edwina we need to get rid of the leg. And Edwina's just sitting there sobbing like, oh no, we can't do that. Get the anatomy book, Edwina. We gotta cut off his leg. So after telling Edwina to get the anatomy book, we don't get to see the surgery and procedure that Martha does on McBurney. Fast forward now, Edwina is waiting outside his bedroom, and John wakes up and starts screaming, and he's very upset and starts yelling at the both of them. He has some very not nice words for them.
The butcher!
We saved your life. We had no choice.
You didn't have a choice, or you wanted to punish me for not going to your room.
It was an accident. She saved your
You're
life.
worse than she is. Did you plan this together? Now you have me at your beck and call.
John, please.
Get away from me! Get me something for the pain!
We'll bring you a bottle.
You didn't tell me it was a house of mad women.
Martha locks him in the room, and now they have a madman screaming and tearing up that room, and they are all shaken up and visibly upset because they realize now they have a serious problem on their hands. Before it was all cool, calm, and happy, very celebratory, even though we're in the middle of a war. Now he's a vengeful, angry, feeling who is definitely wanting to now harm them. And Martha even says we can't let him go because he might lead troops back here, and bad things would happen. Just use your imagination. Women found by enemy troops during war. That would not go very well for them. Alicia, like a moron, goes into McBurney's room, and she says, oh, I tried to ease Miss Martha's suspicions of us. You'll be strong again soon. McBurney grabs her by the hair, tells her to shut up, and asks for her to get him the key. And it doesn't get specified which key does he mean. Does he mean the key for the gun or the key for the door? It's not shown or known that McBurney knows that they have a gun in the house. After this, we see all the ladies at the table having tea, and here comes John down the stairs with the gun. Starts yelling about how Martha and Edwina wanted to cut off his leg after he didn't come to their rooms to sleep with them.
Oh, why are Miss Martha there? She took my leg! Because I wouldn't go to her room, or Edwina's. No, they didn't like that much.
That's enough.
I tell you it's enough!
Thinking a lot of himself right here, and he doesn't know that a bone was sticking out. Amy chimes in saying, don't shout, you'll scare Henry, which is her pet turtle. And McBurney takes Henry and throws him in the corner. It was in this moment you must truly realize what an awful human he is for throwing Henry away like that. We knew this guy was a bad character, with the manipulating of all these women in the house, sure, and running away a soldier upon the call of duty. He was not by any means a great guy. when he throws the turtle away in the corner. We know now he's a really bad guy. Martha sends Amy out to tie the blue rag on the gate, but McBurney is right there and takes it off. So much for that. It's not one of these things where it's like, Amy, do you not see that corporal walking right behind you? Takes the rag off and is like, you're not doing that. Martha goes outside looking for Amy after hearing her scream and finds McBurney had her held up in this shed. And John walks both of them back to the house and lets them know how he feels. And John is not whispering sweet nothings in their ears anymore. I mean, he's got some very harsh words for these ladies.
I'm not even a man anymore. I took your kindness and I trusted you, and you toyed with me, you butchered me. Well, I've had enough of your devilment. I've got 6 shots left in this gun, and the next one of you to try something, I swear to God you're gonna get it from me. Do you hear me? The next shot is more to use.
Storms off back to his room at this moment. Then Edwina goes in right after him and gets up close to him. And John, let's just say the moment strikes him and, his head's in the gutter now. He's like, I want some revenge sex here for you cutting off my leg. From amputating my leg, it's time for me to get even with you. And some boots start knocking. And I think Edwina does this to buy time for Martha and the girls to think of a plan in the meantime while he's distracted. Because when a man's getting laid, he's not thinking about what's going on in the house. But maybe Edwina didn't do it for that. Maybe she's thinking, you know what? He's got a gun. He's really pissed off. I'm gonna die, so let me get laid before I die. Either way, both of those are very honorable. He's distracted and not able to cause mayhem or threaten them. And one of the girls, Maurice, suggests that John likes some of the mushrooms that Amy picked, and says maybe Amy could pick a kind especially for him. And especially means especially deadly and poisonous. So Martha settles on that this is the best course of action to take. Have a special dish of mushrooms and try to take this out. So we don't as an audience get to see the moment that they tell McBurney that they are preparing a lovely dinner for him. But we saw Edwina and him passed out on the bed together moments before. Martha agrees on the mushroom plan, and one thing to remember is a man is always more agreeable and understanding after he's gotten laid. Here we are now at the table, and McBurney's putting the mushrooms on his plate, and everybody's looking around like, I hope this shit works. And right on cue, McBurney starts wheezing, and all of a sudden he hits the floor and he's dead.
The same.
Amy ties the blue rag around the front gate, and now they are stitching this quilt over John's body. How ironic this moment is that they carried him to the house in the beginning of the movie, hurt, but alive. Now they are carrying him out dead. This movie had a very eventful opening and ending, and this scene provides such a strong symbolic moment, with them looking out on the porch with McBurney's corpse there with the blue rag on the gate, that they were able to conquer this outside enemy that came into their home after they did a noble thing in trying to provide him shelter and a place to heal. The lesson in this movie, don't be so quick to move strangers in your living space. During a war, literally the enemy came into their home, and these women had a war of their own on their hands with this unhinged Union soldier who definitely wanted to harm them, perhaps kill them after his leg got amputated by them. I think any feminist would love this movie. The only man in the movie dies, and the rest of the women live, so for all you feminists out there, you definitely will love this ending. The Rotten Tomatoes scores for the 2017 version of The Beguiled, Tomato Meter giving it a 79%, and the audience with a brutal score of 48%. That to me is preposterous and ridiculous. This movie has excellent acting, suspense, and drama. It has a very exciting and emotional climax as well. I also love movies that go back in time historically, as this one does during the Civil War. Also, a predominantly female cast, one that's extremely effective and gives a great performance. The audience is drunk with their score and needs to go home.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk. Give me your keys.
And the critics are obviously, from my perspective, more on point. My final score for The Beguiled, the 2017 version. Can I get a drum roll, please? An A. This is a masterpiece to me, and an all-time favorite watch of mine, for the reasons I just mentioned. When I watch a movie, I always ask myself, could the director have done anything different to make this movie better, or would I change anything about the film? And to me, the answer is no. Sofia Coppola did an excellent job, and her version of The Beguiled, I think, is terrific cinema gold. And with an A, the 2017 version of The Beguiled gets a woolly seal of approval. Thank you for watching this movie review. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button down below, as well as the notification bell, so you are notified about the next Ryan Woolley movie review. I am Ryan Woolley, signing off, humbly, saying thank you and hasta la vista.